Happy New Year to each one of you. I have a question. What is the evidence that will show whether you are a follower of Jesus or not? Let me read a passage from John chapter 13, verses 34 to 35. Jesus says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. As I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." You'll notice a phrase repeated 3 times there: one another, one another, one another. And we see that the evidence that shows whether we are following Jesus or not is if we have love for one another. Now, in this context, the one another seems to be referring to other believers. And of course, Jesus teaches that we should love our enemies, not just the one who does good to us, but those who hate us, those who spite us and treat us wrongly. We're supposed to love. We're supposed to be known for our love. That is the evidence of a believer. But in this specific context, it's talking about our love for other brothers and sisters in the Lord. And something that may seem obvious is that we should love those who are a part of the family of God. But it's actually one of the hardest parts of being a follower of Jesus, loving our brothers and sisters. But something that is really important for us to notice is that it starts with us receiving love from Jesus. He says, "As I have loved you." Now, he's given us love as an example of how to love. But actually, the love that we receive from him is the power to love. So before we go out and try to love better, to love our brothers and sisters in a more practical way, to do it in a more evident way, we need to first stop and ask ourselves the question: have I received the love that Jesus has extended to me? And not just have I received it, but am I living out of the reality of that love on a daily basis? Am I receiving Christ's love on a daily, moment-by-moment basis? Now, as a follower of Jesus, if you're like me, it's easy to fall into the mindset of trying to appease our Father in heaven, trying to make sure that we don't mess up, trying to make sure that we don't fall into a guilty status. But as a child of God, that is not the way to live. We are called to live out of the true love that Jesus has given us, which is a love that gave up his life for us. He came to this earth because we as human beings rebelled against him, and through our rebellion broke our relationship off from him. And he came to reconcile, to restore that relationship. He offered his life up as a ransom for many. He gave his life as the perfect sacrifice to pay the debt that I could not pay, that you could not pay. We owed death. We deserved death, eternal death. But he came so that we might receive life, abundant life. And so that love that he has given us is, in essence, life that he has infused into us. When he comes into our lives, he takes away the wages of sin, which is death, because once and for all, he has taken that punishment that you and I deserved, and we are no longer guilty. But it changes the way we live. It takes us who were rebelling against him and turns us into his children. He has made us a part of his family. And just an example, when you marry, the ideal marriage should look like a husband and a wife giving and receiving love. And a healthy relationship is a give and take relationship. It's a two-way street. In a marriage, you're giving love, you're receiving love. And not only that, ideally, you love the family that you married into. You're a part of a new family. Both of you have joined new families, and you hopefully love those who are a part of that family. And when we come in to the family of God, when we come into a relationship with him, we are a part of his family. And he commands us to love one another. He commands us to love his children, who are our brothers and sisters. And so when we join the family of God, when we follow Christ, the evidence that we are truly following is when we are loving his children, which are our siblings, our spiritual siblings. So first, we have to receive Christ's love in order to be able to truly love others. We have to be living out of that reality that I am saved, I am no longer guilty, I have been made a child of God, and I am in a relationship with him. And that relationship will impact and will be evidenced by our love for the brothers and sisters around us. It will be a loving commitment to the body, the local body of believers, to our brothers and sisters that are around us. And it will also be evidenced by receiving from that. Loving one another is a give and take relationship where I am receiving love, where I am being vulnerable, where I am sharing when I am in trouble, when I am going through difficult time, so that I can receive love. And often, it may seem strange, but as human beings, we have a harder time being vulnerable enough to receive love more than giving love. We can be the strong one and act like we're loving, but in reality, we're not trusting, we're not being vulnerable enough to receive love from others. And that's how a strong brother-sister relationship in the church looks, is where we're giving and we're receiving. We're pouring out our lives for each other. When they are going through when the other is going through a difficult time, we're there to pick them up. When they sin, we're there to offer reconciliation and help them up through the grace that God has extended. And we are speaking the truth in love when they're living in sin, seeking their best always, not holding back, bringing everything to the table. And it's also being vulnerable when I am going through a tough time, when I have fallen into sin. I'm confessing my sins one to another. I'm asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for help when I need it. That's what the body of Christ is. It's a living example of what Christ has done and is doing in our own lives with each other. It's an example of grace. It's a picture of what Christ wants everyone to receive, which is that grace. Because by faith you have been saved, by grace you have been saved through faith, not of yourselves. It is a gift of God. We're extending that gift to others, inviting them to live out of that grace. And we're walking together towards that one day when we will be with him, living in an eternal, loving relationship with our King. And again, it will be done in the context of the body, where we will be worshiping him together forever. So what is the evidence of the fact that I am a follower of Jesus? It is this: by this, all will know that you're my disciples, by your love for one another. Question is, are you living out that love, giving and receiving that love one to another? And are we living that out of the love that we have received from Christ? And are we living out of that daily reality that he loved us, that he loves us, and that's how we love others? I just want to encourage you, as we step into this new year, pursue loving relationships with other believers. Show your love. Receive that love. Be vulnerable enough to reach the point of being able to receive that love from others, and give of yourselves to love others. And that's where the world will see and will listen and will look and say, wow, those are Christ's disciples. Blessings as you seek to love him and love others.